Okay, so today in class we started our CSS. So each class got a little bit different. So I'm going to place today. So I'm going to kind of show you a general idea and then I will show you my screen. So the first thing we did to start our CSS is you had to have your HTML done. So ideally that you finished videos 1 through 3 and you have your website created that we went over for the About Me website. If you don't, you can always go back on the daily agenda slides and complete that project. So you should have that project right down here in your projects. And the very first thing we did when we started this assignment is we didn't want to ruin our original project. So we went ahead and we clicked this remix button right here so that it made a separate copy of our project. So go ahead and click the remix button, and that should make you a file that will be called remix. So I'm going to go ahead and open mine up because I had already done that step. So I already have a remix assignment. So when we're typing CSS, we're not in our HTML document. So we leave the index file and we come over to the style file. You should already have lines 1 through 8 that you had pasted when we did your table. So when we originally came into your CSS, we deleted anything that code.org had on our screen, and we had pasted these lines from the Google Doc that I had in your Google Classroom. So if you go back in your history of days, there should be a HTML document called Table Doc. That's where you took this code from. Okay, that's lines 1 through 8. On line 9, what we're going to do is we made this comment. So this is called a comment line. That's why it's in light gray, because it actually doesn't do anything for the website. It doesn't change anything. That's why it's grayed out. Notice if I were to delete one of the symbols, everything below it becomes gray. We don't want that. So make sure you end it just like a comment with the asterisks and the backslash on either side. That's how it locks it in. This is also good if you're working on a project, which most often a website is a team project. So if I were assigned a certain section of the website, like Katie, you have to make the top half of the website, do these different things, I could put a note in there that says, this is my section and this is what the code does. So it's a way to pass notes back and forth, basically between your teammates. You could type anything in that comment that you wanted your teammates to see and to know, and it doesn't affect your website. So what our comment says is this is the end of the given code. So this was just a note to say, hey, these lines of code you copy and pasted, and starting on line 10 is where we're actually going to start typing out code for ourselves. The very first line that we typed on line 10 says body. Notice we've taken out the tag symbols that we used in HTML, and we've just typed the word body this time. Body refers to my whole website. That's where the body tag was. This is called a selector. So the dark blue, the vocabulary word in CSS that goes with the dark blue, is called a selector. The green is called a property. So green is called property. And then the light blue is called a value. So how did we get this value that we added for the background? We added an app to our computer. So we went into the internet and we typed in ColorZilla. Okay. And then we went to the Chrome Web Store, and there's a button here that says add to, and then you get a pop-up that says, do you want to add the extension? Click yes, add extension. Once the extension is added, I need to pin it to my toolbar. So you'll see it on mine. It's this little eyedropper. To add it to your toolbar, click the puzzle piece and go ahead and hit the push pin right next to ColorZilla. You can see it disappear and reappear as I add it with the push pin. So go ahead and push pin it so that it's on your toolbar and you can use it. So to get that color code, you're going to use the tool by clicking on it, pick color from page, and then when you highlight anything, like this deep purple or my face, and I tap my mouse pad, click, okay, I can then paste, if I deleted this for a different one, I can Control V, paste it, and semicolon to add that to it. Make sure every single line that I'm typing, notice every single line on my page that has green and light blue has a semicolon at the end. Super important so that your code's working. Save and refresh to save it out. And then we're going to close that section. So notice the scroll braces are right next to your P key by hitting Shift and the scroll. Notice when I'm typing CSS, it's very important that my selector, body, is on the line with the open brace, and that's all that's on that line, and my close brace is always on a line by itself. This way, when you're typing a very large website that has hundreds and hundreds of lines of code, if you tell somebody in your group, hey, I need you to edit the body selector, they can see very clearly where it starts and where it ends. If I put it on a line with some other code, you'd never be able to see that in lines of hundreds of code. So open and close are always on their own lines. Make sure you do that. And then anything I want to do to that section, the property, which is green, property, and the value, which is light blue, are on a line together, okay, with the symbols included. Okay, I'm going to zoom in just so you can see it a little better in the video. We're going to type our second selector, which is the H1. That's the section with my name in it. And I'm going to type these properties and these values. Notice when you go to type a property like font size, the predictive text comes up. You can scroll through the options, and if I choose one, notice it puts it with the colon for me, and it sets it up like it should be. That's an easy way so that you don't spell things wrong or forget certain symbols. Okay, I'm going to pause on my screen. You're going to text a line to the center, which is going to move your name to the center. You're going to add a color using, again, your color picker tool from the top for your font here. You're going to change the font family to sans serif. That means without feet. So you'll notice when you do that line of code that your font changes from this type of font that has these little feet on the end to a one, which sans serif means without, sans, and serif means the feet. Without the feet, they're removed. It looks more like Arial. This is a web safe font, meaning it's a font that your computer knows with me just typing in the word sans serif. Okay. I'm going to go to the image selector then. We close on 18 and open the image on 19. I'm going to give it a border radius in 25 pica. Notice the measurements of my computer screen. Font size, I chose to measure it in pixels. In border radius, I chose pica. Notice if I change this one to pica, pica is much bigger. If you scroll, oh, there's my K. Pica is much bigger than pixels, just so you have a reference. Border has 3 values. That's what makes it different. So I'm going to do border. I'm going to do a solid border. I'm going to do 8 pixels. And I'm also going to choose a hex code. But this time I'm going to click on the image itself and choose one of the hex codes that the image gives me. Make sure it's one that's different than your background color. So just click on the image of your selfie and choose a hex code from the options that you have. That's another way that you can get a color. We're going to center the picture by centering the container it's in, so text align center. And then for our paragraph, we're going to start that portion. We're not going to get through that, but we're going to give it a font size of 25 so it's bigger. And then when it comes to color, what you're going to do here for color is once I type color, let's type it, okay, choose it. You're going to get this pop-up menu of different words for color. So we've been using what's called a hex code, which are those hashtagged numbers that we've used the color picker tool for. But you can also type out color in just basic words like blue, black, green, red, etc. So you choose from the word version a color for your text and semicolon to end it, and you'll see that the text is now in that color. Okay, if you have a dark background, please choose a light text. And if you have a light background, try and choose something darker just so that you can read your text on your website. And hit one final save and refresh. And that's where we're going to end off on this item.